I would like to thank you all for being here and just say, don't be afraid of technology and innovation. We're always innovating, and innovation in fashion has been happening for centuries. And today we're going to dive into that even more. So because I don't like to introduce people, I like them to tell who they are and what they do better, I would like to start. And we're going to go into the sequence, but I will let Olga be the last one because she has a lot more to say as a designer too. So let's start with you, Nick. Welcome and thanks for being here with us.
First and foremost, thank you all for being here and then having me as well. It's a true honor and privilege to be here on stage, so thank you so much. My name is Nick Vinkier. I'm Director of Corporate Innovation at Chalou Group, the leading luxury retailer here in the Middle East. We represent over 350 luxury brands, and I look after all the new business models and emerging technology.
Exciting to talk to you today. Thank you all. Sophia, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here with all the amazing women in the space. My name is Sophia Trabelsi. I am a Web3 advisor and digital asset advisor as well. Essentially, I started in the space back in 2016 as a developer with Ethereum. Well, not for Ethereum, but essentially as an ETH developer. Made my entrance in the space more so on the advisory side, having sort of seen the evolution in the digital asset space in its quite infancy until now. So now I advise a lot of Web3 companies. I'm a mentor with Outlier Ventures, and I also do all the business development for Flare Network. So yeah, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And before we go into Olga, Maria, welcome. You are the next one to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Giovanna. It's great to be here. Thank you. Just briefly about myself, I'm an entrepreneur. I was building my own business for over 7 years. It was a marketplace for designer furniture and home accessories. And I'm also an active investor working in the venture ecosystem in the United States. I work closely with an early stage venture fund called One Way Ventures, which backs exceptional immigrants and exceptional founders who are building breakthrough tech. So we have founders who are building businesses in the fashion industry, as well as many other verticals. But it's great to be here and happy to share my insights.
Thank you. And now I would like to actually introduce Olga herself. But before, I just want to say that last year I had the honor to see her incredible fashion show in the first edition of this event during the gala. And that was mind-blowing. So Olga, welcome. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit how it was for you to start to enter the fashion space.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья. Во-первых, я рада во второй раз принять участие в этом замечательном и очень полезном для всех женщин и не только женщин форуме. Мой путь в фэшн был, мягко говоря, непростым. Это был довольно долгий путь. Все началось еще в 90-х годах, после развала Советского Союза, когда я впервые увидела винтажное украшение. С этого началась моя большая страсть, которая привела меня к тому пункту, где я сейчас нахожусь. В 2009 году я образовала компанию, которая называется Vintage Dream, и сейчас в моей коллекции больше 35 тысяч коллекционных винтажных украшений и других коллекционных предметов винтажа. И надо понимать, что тогда, в 90-е, когда я только начала этим заниматься, абсолютно никто не понимал, чем я занимаюсь, а самое главное, зачем я этим занимаюсь. Дело в том, что мировой тренд на винтаж, я думаю, мы об этом поговорим чуть позже, отдельно, он появился гораздо позже. И, получается, я каким-то интуитивным чувством предугадала этот тренд. Спустя годы, в 2015 году, я как куратор сделала свою первую выставку, и в 2021 году я стала основателем и дизайнером своей собственной компании Lefers, так же, как моя фамилия. Я долго думала, как ее назвать, но все-таки остановилась на наиболее очевидном варианте. И за это время я успела создать уже некоторое количество коллекций. И, конечно, в моих планах развиваться, в том числе интернационально. У меня языковой немецкий язык, юридическое, искусствоведческое образование. Я являюсь лектором, куратором выставок и основателем 2 проектов и дизайнером в одном из них. Спасибо.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Olga. And we'll go back later a little bit about secondhand. But I think because when we think fashion and innovation, there's so many pillars for this whole disruption. I actually would like to invite you, Maria, to start the conversation, warming it up, talking about what are the new trends we see with technology in fashion, AI. I know we're all scared, but not. So tell us a little bit more.
Thank you. Yes, I will start by saying that 2023 was actually a turning point year for the fashion industry. What happened? So first of all, ChatGPT entered the market, something that is completely unseen ever before. Google unveiled an instrument that allows people to try clothing on virtually, so a virtual fitting room. And we have also seen the first fashion collections which were made completely with neural networks, without human element or human design. So this is something that has never happened before, and of course it's mind-blowing. And we believe that in the industry, that fashion of the future will be in a symbiosis of artificial intelligence, technology, and environmental friendliness. These three factors, these three different factors will form the foundation of the fashion industry of the new generation. And just to give you the numbers, the volume of the market of artificial intelligence used in fashion was just 0.7 billion in 2022. For comparison, the fashion industry globally is $2.5 trillion. So what's 0.7 billion compared to $2.5 trillion? You would think it's nothing, right? But the forecast is that by 2027, this number will exceed 4 billion. And these are conservative projections. In reality, these numbers could be higher. So this is something that we have to take into account when we think about the fashion industry today and how it's changing. These are not all the trends and numbers I have, but I'm going to pause here to give others an opportunity to speak, and I'll share some more insights later.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that we could stay here for hours talking about this topic. But that's a very good view on the market and how we need to be connected, especially if you work with fashion or if you just wear fashion. I think it's all part of the same universe. Nick, now we're talking about tough topics. Web3, NFTs, retail. You are a very big name in that space, especially here in Dubai, working in Shaloub Group, ahead of the innovation. So can you tell a little bit to our audience, what is the impact, the potential, the vision on bringing Web3 and this sort of technology to retail and fashion business?
Sure, absolutely. It's a very big question. Maybe before I kick off, who's into Web3? By show of hands, like maybe a bit higher. So not that many people. So maybe before I kick off, what is Web3? Question mark. I think on the one hand, there's a very big pillar of decentralization. So everything that is built on top of blockchain technology is extremely important and interesting for us. So that's one pillar of Web3 that, in my humble opinion, that is very important. And the other pillar for Web3 is the immersive side of things. I'm sure everyone has heard about the metaverse before. So the whole immersive experience of that, the 360-degree experience, virtual platforms, whether or not it's with virtual reality or whatever, that's the second pillar, in my humble opinion. There's no true or false definition of Web3 yet. But what I do believe is that it is the third wave of the web. It is the new wave, and that we cannot stop it anymore. So we will go towards a future where I think most of what we do will be on-chain, so will be built on top of blockchain technology, and will be more immersive. Why do I think that? For the first part, I think on-chain verification will be extremely interesting for the fashion industry when it comes to provenance, when it comes to showing or proving authenticity of handbags, of shoes, of everything. Because right now, if you look at the resale market, I'm sure that it is a big topic here as well. Birkin bags go for stupid amounts of money, and it's very hard for third parties to verify the authenticity and the realness of those bags. It's literally a trillion-dollar problem right now, the gray and black market in fashion, especially in the resale market. If you have, from a manufacturing point of view, everything on-chain verified, where the goods are made, where actually the fabrics are coming from, the leather comes from, there is no discussion whatsoever. You do not need a central party to say this is or this is not a real handbag or real shoes or whatever. We just see it on-chain, decentralized. We do not have to trust anyone for that. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, when it comes to immersiveness, the metaverse, of course, we're in the business of luxury fashion, luxury beauty. It's all about storytelling. So if we get more tools to tell stories in better ways, in different ways, we have to embrace that. So today, I'll be the first one to say the adoption rate is nothing. We're absolutely not there yet. We do have to do a lot of work educating the market, so I'm very happy that I can be here and talk a little bit about Web3, and I hope that we can inspire everyone in the room to read more about it and to embrace it. But we definitely need to do more work to make it more accessible, more and get the word out there. But it's coming, so you really have to be prepared for it. The wave is unstoppable. I think it's something that we've seen this week as well in Dubai.
Amazing. And actually, I will ask a question here. How many of you have been to the so-called metaverse? Some. How many of you here have kids that play on Roblox? So they are in the metaverse. It's not on blockchain yet, but we know that the alphas and the Gen Zs, they have a different relationship with digital assets and how they purchase products and how they see their own identities, their bodies, their wardrobe. And that's what's super interesting. And that takes me to a question. Do you want to add to that, Nick?
No, I'm just literally saying we all talk about the metaverse, but I didn't want to like hijack the whole panel. But we're talking about the metaverse, and everyone's like, "What is the metaverse? We don't know it, or it looks stupid, or no one is using it." But indeed, in fact, if you look at Roblox, there's 70 million daily active users, more than 250 million monthly active users, and by show of hands, we've seen literally that 1 out of 2 kids here in the room or parents already are paying Roblox. There's a big chunk of your money going to Roblox already. In total, last year, $2.2 billion has been spent on the platform on virtual clothing in Roblox. So it is already a thing, and it's only going to go up.
And Gucci is there, Tommy Hilfiger is there. Go, Maria.
I just wanted to add that one of the startups in our portfolio is actually a company that produces virtual clothing. And they have made a business out of selling amazing, very brave and extravagant designs which are worn online. And they're doing extremely well. So people are buying these dresses or outfits and putting them as their profile photos or putting them online, and it has a lot of demand. So this is, to talk about the metaverse, this is the other spectrum of it in real life in practical terms. That's where people now go shopping to buy things virtually and wear them virtually.
Exactly, which I think brings us to think two things. The term phygital, which is being said a lot, was when you have a physical product with a digital component, but also going to Sophia a little, who is working with Outlier Ventures and also had connections with projects with Farfetch and so on. It's when you think about a phygital item, imagine if you could buy a digital dress that gives you access to an experience of that brand, to a VIP dinner, to a unique collection. So when we think also about Web3 and NFTs and new technologies in fashion, we think about loyalty programs, co-creating with your consumers. Can you talk a little bit about that, Sophia?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about digital expression. So in real life, we have certain clothings that we like to wear, certain bags, certain styles, certain preferred designers. And essentially, how do we convert that in this digital world, right? You're in a metaverse, your children probably play Roblox here, so they want to have that sort of digital identity of themselves in this metaverse, right? So it's essentially the conversion process that allows people and brands to also be able to connect with this new audience, this Gen Z. And it really does go sort of above and beyond just bringing your brand to the metaverse, but it's more so about, I would say, creating experiences that would engage the consumer more than just buying a certain product. So with a lot of the big fashion houses, we've seen with LVMH, we've seen it with Lacoste, you're essentially able to create loyalty programs to further reward your consumers. So one of my favorite brand activations with Lacoste was called Underwater. They released that in June. I did not work with them, just to be very clear, but I do really appreciate how they were able to create this meaningful activation where essentially anyone that bought this Lacoste NFT had access to their token-gated platform and was able to play games and quests. So why do you do all of this? It's essentially to earn some sort of reward experience, whether that's meeting the Lacoste team or getting access to exclusive items. So we're seeing that the metaverse not only enables purchasing of digital twins of their products, but also further immersing the consumer in the brand and further creating loyalty.
That's amazing. And I think the storytelling of the brand. But one point that Nick, you touched, and now I'm going to bring that to Olga, is about vintage items, right? I think secondhand market is a big market and it is growing when we also think about technology from the sustainability point of view in fashion. And that's a big market also for NFTs and NFTs. But then, Olga, you have been in that market of vintage. So tell us a little bit more about that and the power of that in terms of innovation.
Вначале я хотела бы назвать буквально несколько цифр. По оценкам 2021 года рынок second-hand или винтажа составил порядка 138 миллиардов долларов. В 2024 году эта цифра должна достигнуть 250 миллиардов. По прогнозам, к 2027 году она увеличится до 350 миллиардов долларов. Для сравнения, и чтобы просто вы понимали, скорость этого роста – это примерно в 3 раза быстрее, чем рост рынка одежды в целом. Это невероятные темпы, и это очень долгоиграющий тренд. Он останется с нами надолго, потому что люди поняли, что тренд на экологичность, тренд на slow fashion, на медленное, на разумное потребление, он очень устойчивый, он очень постоянный. И основные покупатели рынка second-hand – это поколение миллениалов и поколение Z. И из экологических, скажем так, целей возможность быть стильным, возможность быть уникальным, при этом не расходуя ресурсы планеты, это сейчас важно практически для всех.
100%. And I also feel that we have to remember that fashion is part of our emotional connections, right? We carry pieces from our grandparents. They have meanings, they have stories. And when we think about sustainability, vintage, and also storytelling in the metaverse, we are actually bringing the potential of storytelling of clothing, right? We want to bring something that belongs to us, to our grandmas, and so on. Well, I would like now to open a more general discussion to all of you. We have 10 minutes, so we still have some time, which is really thinking about what do you see as the future of fashion, right? What are the forecasts or what are your favorite technologies? You can elaborate a little bit on that. And I will start with you, Maria.
Okay. All right. So as I mentioned before, the size of the fashion industry is $2.5 trillion. However, what's the key trend? And Olga just touched on this. The key trend for this industry is sustainable fashion. And this is a trend that has been here for a while and it's here to stay. What does this mean in practice? So this means that there's production of clothing and accessories from recycled materials, more and more. That it also means that there's the so-called thrifty fashion, which means people are being conscious about how they are buying. They are doing less random shopping and more thoughtful shopping. Minimalism and capsule wardrobes, right? So as opposed to going to the store and buying this pair of jeans and that sweater, people are trying to think through their capsules for the whole season, which means they actually buy less, but they buy more. They look better. And I'm sure there's some stylists in this audience, and I know that there's some really good stylists in this audience who are helping to shape this trend, because they're helping people buy responsibly while still looking really good. What else? There's the trend of eco jewelry in the luxury segment. So for all of us diamond lovers, there's amazing jewelry that's out there and that's going to be there to stay. That's going to be eco jewelry.
And also on blockchain. I know a lot of companies that have diamonds on the blockchain certified. So
Yes. And then another trend is the rise of the subscription market. So this is a market for renting clothing for specific occasions and then returning it. And this allows a lot of users to look really good, but then also not to spend too much, right? So this is going into the same concept of responsible shopping. I'm going to pause.
no,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'll just share a few more really quick insights. One is there's a huge influencer effect. The brands that have not been able to successfully integrate opinion leaders, fashion experts, and influencers into their marketing are really losing out compared to their competitors. So it has become a necessity. It's not something that, wow, it'd be great to work with this influencer. The brands that are behind on this, they're just going to lose out. The other thing is a lot of people are working remotely, and women are working remotely. So since the pandemic, over 68% of women are now working from home at least part of the time, which means they need to have a more structured wardrobe. They need to think through how things are organized in their houses. And however, people have resumed to travel, and many people are living in 2-3 homes. They have a home here, they have a home there, and that means they also need to think through their fashion collections for each home.
That's incredible. The future is bright. Nick, what is the future for you, near future for fashion?
Yeah, I think the summary we already got in a nutshell. So I'm a huge believer as well indeed in the whole sustainable aspect, where I think the next 5 to 10 years we'll see that sustainability, circular economy will be going from the sidelines into the core of the business. So any brand that is not, or company that is not embracing sustainability at the core of the business is not, and not bringing it at the core of the business model of the company, will fail. So I 100% agree with that. We see that in the data. We're seeing it in terms of pre-loved, buyback services are highly in demand right now. We're experimenting also with rental, for example. So anyone who wants to rent Swarovski jewelry, you can just Google rent Swarovski AE. It's available all over the UAE. So definitely we see a lot of circular business models being highly in demand, that's for sure. And next to that, anything that is I think the third wave of the web is coming, and that is what we already discussed. So on-chain verification for those goods goes hand in hand with the hype for pre-loved items, and the authentication is still an issue. So blockchain is a great solution for that. I think that we will definitely see virtual first brands going from, for example, the Roblox platform into real life, because it's just such a great test bed to see what is working. We launched a small virtual first brand called Rebel Clothing, and we sold over 1 million pieces already. And this just gives us so much data to see, okay, what is working and what not, what's working in which countries and what not. So instead of, if you look at fast fashion, they produce thousands of items in real life to then see what is working, and then they produce more of the winners and then less of the losers. We do that in a virtual way, and I think that more and more maisons will start to work like that. And if you then add a sprinkle of AI on top of that, we'll see that on steroids, because the design part will, for sure, we will always have the human aspect, and AI will never take that away, and will never be better than any human emotion that we put into anything that we design. But it's going to help us scale it much, much faster in terms of the design process and in terms of the manufacturing process. So I think these, three, sustainability, Web3, and AI, will just change the face of fashion and beauty.
Chills. Olga, you, what is the future of fashion for you right now?
Конечно же, я согласна с предыдущими спикерами, и существует один большой тренд глобально на экологичность и на устойчивое развитие. Второй тренд на все большее увеличение применения технологий, современных технологий, в том числе и в фэшн-сегменте. Это новейшие материалы, это 3D-принтеры, это виртуальные примерочные, это возможность использовать аватаров для примерки одежды и так далее и тому подобное. Но здесь сидят гораздо лучшие специалисты, чем я в этом направлении, поэтому я хотела бы сказать о другом. Дело в том, что применение технологий, его не стоит, наверное, пугаться, так же, как искусственный интеллект, хотя многие высказывают определенные опасения, только в одном случае. Если мы сохраняем фундамент. Что для меня фундамент? Фундамент — это то мастерство, те ремесла, которые не должны быть забыты. Если бы вы знали, сколько ремесел исчезли, то есть их не успели передать следующему поколению, и теперь мы, например, можем только посмотреть на это кружево, но мы не можем понять, как оно было создано. Для того, чтобы двигаться дальше, используя технологии, нам нужно сохранять то, что было уже создано за тысячелетия до нас. Это тоже очень важно, сохранять вот это наследие моды в том числе. И только тогда технологии могут быть только в пользу. И вы знаете, мне кажется, любой большой тренд рождает противоположный тренд. И мне кажется, со временем человеческая креативность и человеческие чувства будут иметь все большую и большую роль. Ведь если мы задумаемся, почему, зачем мы покупаем одежду, то мы давно ее не покупаем для того, чтобы прикрыть наготу или укрыться от холода. Мы покупаем одежду, чтобы испытать определенные эмоции, потому что мы люди, и мы чувствуем.
Amazing, amazing that you spoke about heritage. Because I think I always like to say that when we talk about technology, we also have to remember that everything is a continuity and it's about legacy. There is always a technology before us that set up the ground for the new innovation. So amazing. Sophia, you will be the one closing with your opinion. Tell us, what is fashion, the future of fashion for you?
The best for last. Okay.
Yes, all are we.
I'm very excited about proving authenticity of assets on chain. So this is Dubai. How many of you guys own an Hermes bag?
Let's be honest.
This is not enough. Are we really in Dubai here? Okay. So, it's nice because I think most people also have access to secondary markets. And what's tricky about secondary markets, if you're not able to go inside Hermes's gamified consumer model, is that how do you trust that what you own is actually authentic? How do you trust that it is actually coming from Hermes? So do you decide to trust the vendor? Have you been using this vendor for a long time? It's still a gamble. But essentially with blockchain, we're able to verify this right away online. And what's nice is that the actual artist or anybody that designed an asset that someone would buy, they would be able to get royalties via any sort of secondary sale. I believe that's around 15% at the moment. Could change in certain platforms. But essentially, I'm also really excited about connecting with a new audience. What we're seeing right now is actually over 90% of metaverse users are gamers. There are over 1 billion gamers worldwide. And if we're able to tap into this market via these metaverse activations, that's a new consumer set for these brands. So effectively, big brands would not just be able to cater for their current clientele, but they could cater for another clientele, gamers, for example, that would be able to buy their NFTs and any sort of wearables that they could wear in the metaverse. And the last thing that I'm really excited about is loyalty programs. So this idea that it does not stop when you purchase the item, that there is an experience behind buying that item. That could be via gaming, via certain quests, and the prizes and how these brands reward their loyal customers. I think we'll be seeing a huge evolution with that. I think that previously the metaverse could not have worked maybe 10, 15 years ago because the hardware was not up to date. Now we're seeing advanced VR, AR headwear that will allow us to experience these sort of virtual experiences that are better immersed, whether that's through better visual effects, sound, smell, so that we can effectively feel that we are really in this world. And I know that we're out of time, so I'm going to stop right there.
Unfortunately, this session was super short for the amount of expertise we have here. So I invite all of you, if you want to know more about technology and fashion and luxury market, please come to us. We'll be around. It'll be a pleasure to learn from you and tell you whatever you want to know.